All right, good afternoon, everyone. Eric here for Simpler Trading. We're going to do a little walkthrough of ThinkorSwim today. Anybody got me loud and clear over there in the free trading room? Check, check, check. Looks like my mic is. Let me double check that. Okay, we're good over there. Can you guys hear me in the free trading room? I'm not getting an affirmative there, which leads me to believe. Let me stop and restart that. Hang tight with me, folks. Okay, how do we hear me in the free trading room now? Anyone? I'm not seeing my waveform, so that's giving me some concerns that I'm not hearing back from anyone. Well, we're going to press here because we got about 30 minutes or so. So I'm recording this anyway, so at the end of the day, we can always post the recording. My apologies. I'll figure out what's going on with that later on. Let's get rolling. So we're going to do about a 30-minute walkthrough of ThinkorSwim today. Yeah, hang on. They're hitting me up over in the free trading room that it's not coming through. And I see that. Well, I'm not able to correct the audio there. So my apologies to the free trading room. We're going to press. Okay. So ThinkorSwim, primary platform a lot of us use around here. I'm not going to get into any gory details today. We'll just kind of walk through the entire platform as a whole, especially for those of you that have never used it before. I'll try to point out most of the important features. And of course, we can always drill down into any one of these segments at some later date. As a matter of fact, I've got a tech session coming up Tuesday, the following Tuesday, not tomorrow. Uh, and we can go, we can go into gory detail then if we need to. They're trying to reset the audio on the other side, so I'm just going to try to restart that again. Okay, it looks like the audio might be working in the free trading room now. I see my waveform. You guys hear me? Okay. All right. Well, we're going to press. So we're getting started. We'll talk here about ThinkorSwim. So I opened up a paper. I opened it in paper money today so we can show you some trades on there and whatnot and not have to actually worry about what the trades are. So this is the main window you get when you open ThinkorSwim. You might have this thing called the home screen showing. I know ThinkorSwim likes to put this up like the first thing you see. Most of us don't use this, so I just go over here to the monitor tab. Now the monitor tab is where you're going to see the positions that you have and how those positions are doing. I don't have any positions on right now, but we'll put on a simulated position here in a minute, and then we'll come back and play around with the monitor tab a little bit more. So it shows your positions here, and then you come over to the account statement, and then it shows you, historical performance of your account over time. So up in the upper left, you've got your account information there. You can customize what you want to see up there, as well as, at least in the live trading account, you can hide that stuff, so that it's not public. We've got some things along the side here which are called widgets, and they're configurable in these little drop-down menus. You can change what the widget is to something else if you wanted to, see something else, or just get rid of the widgets altogether. I tend to just have a quotes widget over here on the side, and that's it. And that's just my personal preference. So mine looks something like this. And you've got a watch list there. Now these watch lists are configurable. You can create your own watch lists from scratch. You can import watch lists from other places. And this is where you can see it. You can also see the watch list on the Market Watch page. But for today, we'll just leave this up here. Let's head over to the trade tab. So actually, we'll go to the charts tab. That's probably where you're going to decide that you want to take a trade. And notice all of these tabs in ThinkorSwim. When I say tabs, these are all located across your main window here. And those are the main functionality, the main components of ThinkorSwim. So the charts is where we're going to go. That's where we're going to do our technical analysis. That's where we're going to add our indicators and things of that nature so that we can decide to take a trade. So briefly, we'll talk about charts here. If you have a custom indicator that you want to load into the ThinkorSwim platform, you can do that from a chart. So there's some buttons up here across the top, and then a lot of things are also accessible through a right-click contextual menu here. We're going to go to this beaker icon, which is where you edit studies and strategies. Studies in ThinkorSwim or indicators, strategies are sort of simulated, automated, or simulated quantitative trading things, if you will. They're very lightweight. There's not much going on there. Most of us don't mess with those in ThinkorSwim. But if you wanted to add an indicator to a chart, you could look through here. For example, you could look for a moving average. Anything you type into this little window here at the top becomes a filter on all of the studies listed in this box below. So if I wanted to add an exponential moving average, I could double click it. Comes over here into the added studies and strategies. If I then click on this gear icon, I can customize that indicator. So I'll make this, instead of a 9 exponential, I'll make it a 21. I'll change it to white here. You've got other things. Generally, the inputs are located at the top. How it looks is configured here in the plot section. And then some indicators at the bottom will have things for alerts or globals, the more complex things. But this is just the basics here. And then if I click OK and then apply, I'll see my 21 moving average over there on the chart. Additionally, I can remove these if I don't want it. And again, if I have a custom one that I've gotten from ThinkorSwim or from Simpler Trading and I want to load it into the platform, I click this import button here, and then I navigate to a location on my computer where I've downloaded it. I've got a bunch of stuff on my desktop here. So anything that has a name study.ts will be seen by ThinkorSwim here, and you can import it into the platform here. I've got I already imported the Squeeze Pro a few minutes earlier here. Let's see, let's add in the reversal arrows. So what happens when I import something is it now goes into this giant list of studies here. So if I type in reversal, I'll see those reversal arrows and I can add those to the chart again. And now you see that study up on the chart as well. As far as configuring the chart itself, if you come up here to the Style button, Settings, you come up with this Chart Style Settings dialog box that has all kinds of different tabs on it. I encourage you, if you're going to use the ThinkorSwim platform, take some time one weekend just to go through and see what all the options are and where they are. But in general, you'll find things like how do you make the chart look the way you want it. Notice I customized this bar chart, blue up bars, gray down bars, whatnot. I took off the grid. I made the background black. I made the volume this light colored. I actually want it darker than this. You can customize colors here in this select color box. I like my volume visible, but barely so. Again, that's here in the appearance settings. Then you've got settings for the price axis. One of the things you'll want to do almost immediately is unselect this fit studies and fit study markers, because if you put on especially some of our more complicated studies, they'll just squinch the chart down into a little tiny unlegible mess. And that's this thing which, for whatever reason, ThinkorSwim has decided to set as selected by default. You want to undo those. If you want expansion area at the top of your chart and the bottom of your chart, I tend to put in like maybe 10 or 15% of expansion, top and bottom. You can do that on this page. On the time axis, now we're talking about, the x-axis, if you will. You can select things like, do you want expansion to the right of the chart bars? I've got 20 bars to the right showing here. Most of these other things I have deselected. You can show expiration lines, rollover lines for futures contracts, year markers, etc. This one's pretty critical. Most people don't see this. It's called Keep Time Zoom. And I have that selected all the time. What that does is if I switch this chart from the SPX here to the NASDAQ or something, and I'll show you, if I switch this chart to another ticker symbol, what will happen is the scale of the chart will remain identical rather than rescaling it for something else. So I think that's a pretty critical one that most people should have selected. Let's see, back to our style settings. That was time axis. Favorite time frames. You can come in here. You can either customize these here, or you can do it in a menu drop down from up here. And this, what this does is what you select as your quote favorites become easy selections in the drop down menu. So for example, here, let's say I wanted to add in a monthly chart. I could click add time frame, daily. We'll change it from the aggregation. Aggregation period is what they mean by what is the base chart bar period. So what does each bar on the chart represent? So I'm going to select monthly here. Obviously for a monthly chart, I'd like a little bit more data. I tend to show 15 years on the monthly chart. And then I click add, and you see that shows up in this list of favorites. But furthermore, when I come up here to this time frame drop down, it's right here, easily selectable. So that's where you'll want to go to configure those. Like I said, you can do it from the style menu, or you can also just click customize list and it jumps you right back to that same spot in the style settings. Appearance, again, color of the bars, color of the chart, the background color, whether you want the grid on or off, the color of the volume. And then there's some tabs here that are specific to the type of symbol you're going to plot. So if we're on a chart of equities, show corporate actions, that's things like earnings events, press releases, all that kind of stuff. Options I tend to leave deselected. Here's a critical one, extended hours trading session. By the way, anything you see in the style settings that has this little box next to it here, if I click that box, what happens is, and I'll need to make sure it's selected, once it turns gray, it's selected. This will add a shortcut to the style settings drop-down menu located up here. So I just said show extended trading hours. I want that as a quick selection. So now if I close this and I come up here to style, I'll see a new menu item here to show or hide the extended trading hours session. Most of us, if you're looking at a chart of equities, you're going to hide the extended trading hours because not much goes on after hours except perhaps around an earnings release or some important corporate event. Let's go back to the style settings. So again, there's one for equities. If your volume is not showing, it may be deselected here on this particular page. Options, if you're you can actually create a chart of a single option symbol or a mathematical combination of option symbols if you want and plot it. And that's what this is for. Futures, if you're going to plot a futures contract chart, I tend to deselect show open interest. I do want to see extended trading hours on futures contracts because that's important. And then Forex is fairly limited here. So that's a quick run through the style settings on the chart, how you add and remove indicators, how you import indicators. There's also drawings that you can put on. Notice I put this price channel on here. And I just went in and let me add a few more days of data here to make this chart a little scalable. 90 days. So the drawing tools are located down here. This is where there may be other ways to get to them. You can get to them up here as well. but I use this one. I tend to use this one down here in the bottom. This is the channel tool, but if I press that menu, you'll see you've got various different options from your basic pointer to lines, price levels, which are horizontal lines. You've got text you can put on there, ovals, squares, price channels, regression channels, Fibonacci retracements, and all kinds. You've got time series, Andrew's pitchfork, all that. You can learn all about that just about anywhere on the internet if you want to know how to use those or what they are. I just have a simple price channel on here. Once a drawing is up on the chart, you can usually customize it by right-clicking on it and clicking Edit Properties. So this talks about the name of the channel, what color it is. I can make it some other color if I wanted. I can add in additional coefficients. This particular drawing allows you to put multiple different sub-channels inside the channel. This one's just got the 50% channel selected, but I could turn on the 25 and the 75, and I could change the way those look if I choose. All here in these settings. And then if I like that, if I like the way I've set up one of these particular drawing tools, I can click Save as Default, and that anytime I draw a new channel, it'll look like that again. So I'll go ahead and do that. So now you see the channel with the other lines marked in there. As far as drawings go, there are things in ThinkorSwim called drawing sets. So this is the default drawing set. You can see it located down here in the corner. If I wanted to create a new drawing set, which would clear, well, let me just create one. Save as a new create drawing set. I'll call this one new drawing set. And for whatever reason, let's say this is going to be my bearish thesis drawing set. So I'll draw a bearish channel on here somewhere. And so now I can switch back and forth between the two drawing sets and not lose it. If I don't want to draw certain things on one drawing set, but I want to retain them somewhere, I could have multiple drawing sets. Okay, I think that's a pretty decent quick spin through the charts. Notice there's some tabs on the side. You can open these tabs up. There's one for trade that shows, some trading options here. Time and sales window shows you, as the trades come through, each individual trade and tick. Size doesn't work on SPX. It would if we change this to like a futures contract. See that. What else do we have here? We've also got an active trader for those of you that turn off the time and sales. And you could enter orders in here again. Let me put in a futures contract. See, I could put in limit orders to buy, sell, stops, etc. over here on the active trader if I wanted. Let's just go ahead and, this is paper money and it doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and enter. I could buy at the market if I wanted. Clicking auto send here, buy market. Why is that not executing? I don't ever use, there it goes. So now it's executed. I've got an order, or I've got and your information shows over here, the price I'm long, my average price is here. This is my current profit and loss. I could go in and put a stop loss now in here if I wanted below the price, or I could put a profit target in up above and put that in you can move that on the chart if you want. So that's handy. Those of you that want to trade futures, my recommendation is usually ThinkorSwim's not the greatest platform for it unless you're swing trading or position trading, something along those lines, just because when the market tends to move quickly, ThinkorSwim tends to slow down quite a bit. So, okay. And I think I can just flatten my position here and it should execute that. Yeah, paper money, there we go. So that's out of that paper position. So that's the active trader. There's also this thing called big buttons that just puts a big, buy and sell right there. Let's see, level 2 quotes can be seen down here. Paper money doesn't have all of this stuff as well fleshed out as it does in a live account. They just don't give you that in the paper money account. And then of course you could put live news up here and you'd see the streaming news below. more relevant to equities and things of that nature. So, okay, I think that's enough on the charts. Let's move over to the trade tab and let's come in here and I'll show you. So this is where we generally do a lot of our analysis. Well, not analysis, but we'll look at the option chain. This is for the SPX. We can go to today's options. Let's go back at the chart. Let's say, all right, I think today we're going to continue running higher here. And so I can, I could sell a put credit spread here at 40.85, or maybe I could be a little more aggressive and buy a long option here. And let me show you what that looks like. I come over to the trade tab. At the money options are shown right at the boundary here. So we're currently trading at 40.9874. So the at the money option is right here. Notice as I hover my cursor over these bid and ask columns, I have an option. It tells you, the tooltip there tells you what you're going to do if you click that, and it's not automatically sent. So let's say I want to buy this call option, the 4100 call. I click on buy. The order entry pops up here at the bottom, tells me that I'm going to buy 10. Let's just change that to 1. 10 April weeklies, 4100 call, $5 limit, which is right at the bid, so that should execute pretty easily. I can also change it to a market order, stop orders, trail stop, et cetera, et cetera. Let's just go market so that it executes. Confirm and send. I get the confirmation box here. I'm just going to go ahead and click send. Confirmation box tells you how much it's going to cost you, what the margin requirements are, et cetera, et cetera. So now that is executed. If I go back over to that monitor page in the very beginning, I now see I have a position currently in SPX that the closed ES trade profit is up there from previous. So now this is this is going to fluctuate back and forth as we make money here or lose money. One of the other things we can do now that we have a trade on is we can go over to the Analyze tab, which is the next tab listed here. By the way, in the Trade tab, there's also tabs for Forex, which has just these big buy-sell buttons, Futures Trader, which is kind of sort of a active trader-ish display with big buttons and some charts down here. There is an Active Trader, which shows, this defaults to the ES and NQ with an active trader. This is exactly what we showed you in the main chart window earlier. And there's a pairs trader window for those of you that are interested in trading pairs that shows you the correlation between the pairs and whatnot. But we'll go back to all products here, which is where you're going to see your equities like SPX and Tesla, Apple, whatever it is that you want to trade. And now let's drop to the Analyze tab, which is where we can go in, and now we can look at theoretical performance of either a trade that we have on, all of our current positions, or for instance, a trade that we're analyzing. We'd like to know what is our potential profit and loss in both time and price based on theoretical inputs, meaning price goes up $10 from here, price goes down $10 from here, we 10 days in the future, et cetera, et cetera. So this is our current, and for those of you that have traded options and have never used ThinkorSwim, that's a standard long call option profit and loss curve, right? The purple, the pinkish curve here is real time. So this is what happens, as the SPX goes up and down. This is what we would expect the position of our profit and loss to be on this single long call. The blue line is at expiration, which is this. I bought a 4/11 expiration. I guess I thought I bought today's. I think this is today's. Tomorrow this will be gone. It'll either expire in the money and it'll cash settle because SPX is cash settled, or it'll just be out of my account. So anyway, the Analyze tab allows you to show multiple expirations if you want, multiple steps in days, volatility. You can really, we could spend hours and hours talking about the things you can do on the Analyze tab, but its basic use is to, most of us anyway, will take a look at the potential profit and loss of a trade prior to putting it on. So for example, let me switch this to Apple. Let me take a quick look at an Apple chart. There we go. There's Apple. Apple's in a short-term downtrend here, right? But a longer-term uptrend. So let's say I'm bullish on Apple and it's trading at 161.31-ish. So let's just say I'm going to go 2 weeks out and buy like a 165, 170 call debit spread. So I come back over here to the trade tab. I can do it here or I can do it from the analyze tab. I'll show you from the trade tab here. So let's go 11 days out. And I'm now, instead of clicking here, I'm going to right click by vertical. That's a call debit spread. We said 165, 170, but I'm not going to execute the trade. It's 95 cents. So that means it has a potential profit of $4.05. I'm going to right click and I'm choose analyze trade. And you'll notice it automatically switches to the analyze tab. And here is the profit and loss profile of a call debit, a call vertical, showing that our, max, this is 10 contracts. Let's go down to one contract, max loss of $96, which is the debit paid for the spread, with a max profit at expiration of $404 if Apple closes anywhere over $170 plus the credit we paid. I'm sorry, plus the debit we paid on the expiration date of April 21st. So that's how you use the analyze tab, and it's for a simple debit like this, you can kind of do it in your head once you understand how options work. But once you start layering in, let's say not only do I want that call debit, but I'm going to pay for it by selling an at the money debit spread, at the money credit spread. So I click sell vertical. Let's just sell $2.50 wide. I'm going to analyze that. It jumps over to the analyze tab trade. And so what did it's got a 10. That's why I got to go back to a single. There we go. So what this is showing me now is, so long as Apple closes on the 21st of April anywhere above about $160, then the debit I paid for the vertical is offset by the credit I get for the put, and it's not quite parity here, but it drops the, potential loss in the trade down to $20 or so, unless we close below 160, in which case I'll take the full loss on the thing. That's not an explanation of how to trade or a trade that I recommend. We're just kind of goofing around. But as what I'm mentioning is as you start to get more complex in multiple option contracts and multiple positions, the Analyze tab can kind of keep you out of trouble by showing you, what is the aggregate potential profit and loss for this trade or series of trades, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. All right, question popped up in the free trading room. What is the best platform for futures? Well, I'll tell you the platforms I've used. I personally use NinjaTrader, and I also use Trade-Evate. Those are both really good platforms. They're, the thing that I like about Trade-Evate is it's platform agnostic, so I can use it on my Macintosh. Now, NinjaTrader just added their own white labeled version of Trade-Evate, so you can now use NinjaTrader straight up on a Macintosh, not the full-blown NinjaTrader, but you can access your account and trade with it. And these are dedicated futures trading platforms, so they're just streamlined, they're lightweight, they don't slow down per se like ThinkorSwim does when the market gets very active. Those are the two that I like. There are a bunch of different platforms out there. I just, you can hunt around and find the one you like best. It's just, I'm just, as a public service announcement, having traded futures, done some futures on ThinkorSwim in the past, it just generally, for high speed trading or trading that you're doing, I'm trading intraday and I'm looking to make 6 ticks or something, that's just not the platform for doing that. So anyway, okay, let's keep looking at ThinkorSwim here for a few more minutes. The next tab over is the scan tab, and this is where you can go in and you can execute scans on a basket of stocks or a watch list to find potential trade candidates. So they give you some defaults up here. I'll show you briefly custom ones. So let's go ahead. There's 3 different options here. All of the following, none of the following, or any of the following. I'm going to go into all of the following and add a study filter. Oh, that's right. These aren't allowed in paper money. We'd have to do that on a live account. So let's just add let's say an option filter. I want the option. And the option's not a good example. Let's just go and add a stock filter. So I'm going to say I want stocks who are trading for at least, let's say, $20. And I don't want any of these crazy high expensive stocks in here because just not interested. So let's say for my trading account size, I'm looking to trade things that are trading between $20 and $100 so that the options aren't unreasonably priced. And let's add another filter, stock, and let's say I only want something whose volume is traded, say at least, let's say, 500,000 shares, so that it's fairly liquid. And so now I'm scanning in all stocks. Since we're trading options here generally, let's just switch that to all optionable. You can put that to a personal watch list, and you can intersect it with others. For example, I could intersect this with weeklies if I wanted. There's also, you can just put that in as a single, but in any case, and then if I click scan, the scanner goes off, runs those criteria on this basket of all optional stocks, and comes back with, okay, here's a list of 583 potential candidates. Now, again, you can add in even more and more discriminants, and typically we do in a live account. We'll say, let's pick all these, but find all the ones that are in a 3-dot squeeze, for example. All of them who are in a 3-dot squeeze and they're above their 21 moving average. All of them in a 3-dot squeeze above the 21 moving average, and the 20 moving average is rising. And so you narrow the list down further and further, and then of course you go to your chart and you look for your entry. So that's what the stock hacker is for. The option hacker is similar, but what it does is you put your constraints in here, and now we're not looking for symbols, we're looking for actual option contracts themselves. And so this is nice if you want to go in and look for something, where's the heavy volume today? Is there some word on the street and Tesla is trading a bazillion contracts in the puts, and you might want to know that. You can find that out in the option hacker. Spread hacker, same thing, but now we're looking for spreads, verticals, calendars that meet certain criteria. Kind of a neat one here is the spread book. You can go in and enter a symbol, and you can see what spreads other people currently have as working orders. Interesting. I don't know how useful that is. Occasionally I'll go in here and I'll look for who's betting big, right? Here's somebody that's got a 10,000 contract wide call vertical in call credit in Apple. And it's, they're looking for $2. So anyway, interesting stuff there. And more spread stuff here. I don't know what the difference between these two is myself, to be honest. The next tab over is the Market Watch tab. On there, you can do a quotes page, just like you do over here on the side. You can see any alerts that you have in the system. And so let's, for example, if I'm on this chart and I want to know when Apple breaks up into this gap here, I could right click, create alert. Apple stock, mark at or above. Let's make it 162 even. Create the alert. Now I see the alert on my chart, but if I go back to that Market Watch Alerts tab, I'll see that alert and any other alerts I have in my ThinkorSwim system all loaded up in here. Visualize. This has some neat little gadgets in here, like the heat map and stuff like that. You can go through all those and see what they do. The calendar is pretty important here because during earnings season we can go through and we can like unselect all these and just see all who has earnings coming up, in this week or in this month, etc., which is critical. If you're an earnings type trader, we continue on. We already talked about charts, tools. There's a log in here that allows you to create little notes when you put orders in, or just create little notes and load them into ThinkorSwim and have them there for posterity. There's some videos you can load up. ThinkorSwim has all kinds of stuff for you to watch. If you've loaded shared items, they show up in here, and you can come back and find them. And any ThinkScript custom studies that you have loaded are also loaded in this particular tab here. Moving right along, education. ThinkorSwim has a learning center that talks about if you want to learn how to do ThinkScript, or you want to learn about the trade tab, or you want to learn about options. They have all kinds of stuff here. You can go here. This is also accessible via just a regular web browser if you don't want to be inside ThinkorSwim. All kinds of goodies in here. And then the last tab is the help tab. It gives you their support numbers here, a support email, and then you can always come up here to this thing in the top here and go for a live chat, which I found to be pretty useful because you get a real live human on the other side, and you can kind of ask them real time, if you have a question about an order or something on the platform. Depending on who you get, the level of how helpful they'll be. And I've had them anywhere from not so helpful to extremely helpful. So you never know what you're going to get there, but they are available. ThinkorSwim's got some chat rooms you can go play around. One of the other things, as we're kind of wrapping it up here, this setup menu up top here is where you have the application settings, like how it looks, where how you want your orders to be. Earlier when I went to options, the default quantity was 10. I didn't like that. Maybe I want my default quantity to be 1. I put that there, increment 1. Over here there's a look and feel tab here. You can change the theme here, dark, light, and some other ones that I have put in there. You can customize your own if you choose you want to do something custom. One of the important ones to note here is the system tab, and this quote speed here is kind of important in terms of the overall performance of ThinkorSwim. And if you're not really, this has an option when you go to a live account of real-time, no delay. And that's, unless you really need that, you probably don't want that on. I mean, you don't necessarily need tick by tick data in order to take intelligent trades. And you'll find ThinkorSwim breathes a little better when you slow down the quote speed, for lack of a better way to put it. Anyway, that's where you find that. Think if there's anything else in here that's worth looking at least in this quick overview. I think that's just about everything. One of the things you can do in this setup thing is this is where you go to load shared items. So if you have a shared link from us or somewhere else, you click open shared item, you paste that URL in there, and then you can import it. And one other thing I recommend you do is once you get your workspace all set up how you like it, you click Save Workspace As, give it a name, Saved Workspace, and then I date mine, 04/10/23, save. And then if something happens or I want to come back at a later date, or I've changed my workspace and I want to go back to how I had it set up here, you just come over here to the setup menu, find your saved workspace, and then you just click on it and it reloads that workspace. So, okay, I think that's good enough for today. That was a little longer than I wanted to go, but we're just kind of hitting the high points here at ThinkorSwim. We're not really doing Q&A today. Next Tuesday at noon Central Time, I'm going to do a standard. What I do is live tech Q&A. And so if you have questions, bring them back then, and we will answer them. Until then, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you then. Cheers.